Hi, I'm Joan McDonald, Director of Religious Education at United First Parish in Quincy. First, we will light our chalice. And as I promised you, I had been making chalices in the clay studio. And I have two, but this is what I'm going to share this week. This chalice has kind of it has a crack in it. And it's a very shallow bowl, but the candle will go right in there. So next week I will share the other chalice, which I really like a lot, but I will show that to you next week. So our chalice lighting words are: we light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We will share our covenant. Here's a little picture of our church at this time of year. And when you look outside of the church, if you go by the church in the next couple of weeks, it's all decorated for the winter holidays. And we had here taking a picture standing on the church steps looking out at the city hall, the historic city hall, and there are beautiful lights and a menorah. And then this is a picture somebody else took at a different time, but also around the winter holidays, of our church building. And you can see the steeple is all lit up and the clock is. So we will start with our covenant that members of our congregation share every week during worship. And it's the agreement of how we want to be together, not only as a community, but how we want to be together in the world. And our covenant goes like this, and I'm hoping maybe you have memorized the words, because a lot of people do after you say it enough times. As a free fellowship of this historic church, we unite to lift our hearts and open our minds to a larger reality, to accept, support, and encourage one another, to seek the wisdom in all religions, to cherish and sustain the web of life, and to strive for justice, compassion, and peace. Our theme in December is about stillness, and I am going to share the song, and it's kind of a mindfulness song that Lea Morris sings with her children. And this time it is titled "I Am Still." And you can think about stillness in a lot of different ways, and she will talk about it a little bit with her children. And then I'm going to share a story that Reverend Rebecca gave to me. So the words to the song are: quiet moment, quiet me, quiet in the midst of all I see, a swirling, changing world, but I am still.
Quiet moment, quiet me, quiet in the midst of all I see, a swirling, changing world, but I am still. Quiet moment, quiet me, quiet in the midst of all I see, a swirling, changing world. For now, I still. So, is it easy or difficult to be still?
Difficult.
It's difficult. Why?
Because you have to breathe, and if you breathe, your tummy moves up and down.
So we're always moving. Even if we're sitting still, some part of us is always moving. Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Is it challenging to meditate, or is it easy?
I think it's...
This is being still.
That's very still. Do you blink when you be still?
Mm-mm.
Not even blinking. There are some things your body has to do no matter how still you get. Your heart will beat. Boom, boom, boom. Your eyes will blink. Keep your eyes wet. Your blood will pump around. You'll breathe. But you can calm down so that your breath and your heartbeat are part of your experience of being still, listening for your breath and seeing if you can perceive the beat of your heart.
What about being still without you breathing? Like this.
But then we have to move again, don't we? I have a question. What part of the day feels the most still to you?
Time to be still.
Midnight?
Because everyone's sleeping.
That's what I think too, except for nocturnal creatures, right?
Yeah.
So there is always some movement. So midnight is the time of the day that feels the stillest, even though there's still some movement of quiet nocturnal creatures. You know what I think of, Jacob?
No.
I often think of the year as being like a day. I think of the spring as being the morning when everything's coming awake. And then summer is like noon when everything's in high energy. And then fall is the evening.
Everything's starting to slow down.
Right. And winter
is the night.
And that's the time when it's most still. And then maybe snow might fall and it feels even stiller.
And colder.
Quiet moment, quiet me, quiet in the midst of all I see, a swirling, changing world, but I am still.
Well, that's a lot to think about being quiet and still. Because if you think about it, your body is always moving. Something in your body is always moving, whether it's the blood pumping through from your heart to your lungs to the rest of your body, blinking your eyes. That's what they mentioned, because your eyes need to stay moist. Breathing in and out. You need to breathe in order to live. So those are things to think about. But I also liked how Lea talked with the kids about how stillness can be like the winter, that's the time that's most still. When you think about how cold it is outside and lots of things are frozen or resting and waiting until the spring. So when you think about seeds or plants or even animals that hibernate and they sleep under the ground and they're just waiting for the spring to wake up again. So I'm going to share with you the story that Reverend Rebecca let me borrow, and it is titled Quiet by Tommy Depaula. And I will just be sitting right here in the corner reading the storybook. Quiet. My, oh my, the grandfather said, everything is in such a hurry. And if you look, there are bugs flying around. There are, those bumblebees and butterflies. They're probably collecting pollen. And I think there's little foxes in a den. But when you go outside and it's nice and bright and sunny, there's lots of things that are happening. And maybe they're making all kinds of noise, like bzzz for the bees. The birds are flying fast. And our dog is rushing after the ball, said the girl. Dogs love to play with balls. They love to play outside. I see a frog jumping high in the pond, said the boy. And I bet the frog might be croaking or going ribbit, ribbit, and splashing into the water. And a dragonfly zooming over the water. Dragonflies are really beautiful. Even the trees are waving their leaves. So when the wind is blowing through the trees, you can hear the leaves rustling in the wind, and even the grass too. Busy as busy can be, says the grandfather. Let's not be so busy. Why don't we sit here, you next to me? So now they're going to sit on that little park bench and try and be not busy, to be quiet. The birds are just like us, taking a rest and singing their songs. And our dog is tired, and I think he's dreaming. My dog Chloe does that a lot. The frog is sitting and blinking. The dragonfly has stopped beating its wings. It's just sitting there on that cat and nine tail. Let us be quiet, like all of our friends, quiet and still. I can think when I'm quiet. I can see when I'm still. What do you think he means by that? I'm thinking sometimes if you're sitting still, you might be paying attention to things in a different way. Just like when you're, maybe you can think better when things are quiet as well. So if you're sitting still, you're paying attention, maybe to what's happening in the world, maybe to what you're feeling inside of you as well. And I'm wondering if maybe you can just sit quietly for a moment. And what do you notice? Sometimes I notice when my dog Chloe is snoring away when she's sleeping, because she snores a lot. And I might be hearing the traffic outside, or maybe right now some of the workers at the apartment building are changing light bulbs in the outdoor lighting. So there are things that you hear because you're being still and you're paying attention. And here's a picture of my dog Chloe sleeping. She sleeps a lot, wherever she wants, whether it's on my bed or on the rug there, but in my office with the boxes. So what did you think about being still and being quiet inside? Maybe you can share with your mom or your dad or your other caring adult what it is that you pay attention to when you're still, or how do you feel when you're being still and quiet? And so that maybe you can talk about that a little bit. What are the things that you notice that maybe you don't usually notice because you're paying attention? So we're going to extinguish our chalice, and I'm going to pick this up again. Here's our chalice and the candle. And if you think about this flame, think about how it warms you inside, and maybe the flame of this chalice will carry that warmth to you and the rest of the world. And I will see you next week, and I will share with you the next chalice that I made. I think that's it. And we'll see you next time. Bye.